Happy Monday, gamers. We are back with some modern action. I'm NanMan, and we've got our weekly coverage for you here. We do every Monday and Thursday, and for this episode, we've got Izzet Twin versus Grixis Oculus. Now, this is... we've seen Izzet Twin before. This is kind of the traditional stock list, if you will. Thundertrap Trainers, Deceiver Exarts, Snapcaster Mages. We're running it a little bit of Tamiyo action. So the package that you'd expect to see. Grixis Oculus, though, is a little bit of a hybrid of a bunch of stuff. We're already starting to see Faithless Lootings in here. We're going to be running some additional tools. The Unearth packages here for the Oculus, because if you're running Oculus, you're running Unearth, right? That's like they go hand in hand. But it's like other ways to fill up your graveyard, help yourself out. It's not doing like the Dragon Rage Channeler or any of that side of stuff. It's really running red for the Phoenix that we just saw, Detective's Phoenix go to the graveyard, and the Faithless Looting here. So that's a big thing. Now, it is not going to be on the control element side of things. We're not running counter spells or things like that. It is kind of almost like a Rakdos list with a blue splash in it. Right, Oculus is in there, Thought Scours, that sort of blue package. But for the most part, it's like very, very strong hybrid deck. And I think this is a really cool one to showcase because it's almost this amalgamation hybrid of players really starting to see what they can do. Did you guys see that top deck? The Jace there, that's a nice little addition because of the Brainstorm ability allowing you to be able to flip the Tamiyo there. But we will see a Thoughtseize get utilized here. So we're going to take a cheeky peek, or attempt to take a cheeky peek. Do we get hit with a counterspell? No. So Sink to Stupor, Jace the Mind Sculptor. What do we got here? Flame of Anor, Lightning Bolt, Mountain, and Lorien Revealed here. So... removal spells, Lightning Bolt, Flame of Nor are a little bit dangerous and something to consider. The kind of more annoying things are like Jace the Mind Sculptor because it's hard to interact with, and Sink to Stupor, the kind of bounce effects can be a little bit troublesome. So like those are kind of the categories that you're going to be focusing on, and we go for the Sink to Stupor here, leaving Jace in hand, leaving the two removal spells in hand, so we're kind of okay with that. Look at this Unearth we'll take advantage of here. Fetch, shock, drop ourselves down, and then here's a turn to Oculus to kind of go about things. Now, we know that there is the setup here for the Flame of Anor, so we are going to end up losing this Oculus. We kind of know that that's going to be the next kind of stage of things, but getting at least a 2/2 out there and potential for maybe something scarier off of whatever that manifest is. Like if you manifest another Oculus and then just flip it on the following turn, you're going to be able to just kind of close out the game extremely fast here. Not to mention there's that Phoenix in the graveyard that we could be able to kind of return and bring back depending on how things go here. But let's see, there's the manifestation. Throw that in the graveyard. It looked like another Phoenix went into the graveyard there potentially, or at least a red card. Okay, we've talked about this before. Pay close attention to the lands that players are playing down. We're seeing a lot of fetching and shocking happening here, but for Izzet player with the basic islands, it's kind of leaning us, and we've talked about it, is be mindful of those Blood Moon type effects, Harbinger of the Seas, Blood Moon itself. Those are things you should be aware of when your opponent is finding a lot of basics instead of like fetching and shocking and doing things like that. Thoughtseize number 2, going to follow it up here. So it looks like Tamiyo was the draw. We're left here with a Lightning Bolt and a Jace. If you've got removal, we've got a Frog in hand here. So it's like you're looking at what you kind of have available. You could try, I think it's the safest bet is to focus down and get rid of the Jace. Or go for the Lightning Bolt. Like I feel like Jace is the safer bet though, because if you can be like, all right, here's my Jace, play Tamiyo the following turn, Brainstorm, or vice versa, like you're setting yourselves up to like get an immediate flip of Tamiyo and just kind of run away with Planeswalkers. But we land a Psychic Frog. We know our opponent has a Lightning Bolt. How many cards are left in hand? 2 cards left in hand. So that's kind of, let's try to fight over this. We're gonna pitch to make it pitch 2 cards. What's that? Fear of Missing Out also sitting there. So that's 3 damage on there. Of course, still we'll have 2 toughness. And there's our lovely Snapcaster that we top deck. Because, of course, we just hit him with a Thoughtseize. So we're like, all right, it's safe. We're okay to drop down the Frog. but the lightning bolt with the flashback will be able to get rid of it. Sadly, we're using the tiny dice, so we can't see them as well. We got new dice. The players are going to have to start using them. Sorry, all you guys watching on camera that come out to the shop every single week. Use the big dice. So we do a double check and look through the graveyard here. Looks like we are doing the potential debate about either flashing back a Faithless Looting or just doing the Phoenix. Yeah, looks like we're trying to set some cards aside here. Yeah. Pay 1. We're going to bestow this Phoenix onto this 2/2 creature here. Push for damage. Here's 4. Double check. Looked like a land underneath of there. But a 4/4 is still pretty good, right? We know that we had to commit a lot of resources to kill off the frog last time, so that's going to be a lot of what we're doing. It looks like it is a Faithless Looting in hand. So we're just going to kind of try to poke down and trade down and deal a bunch of damage here. Oh, Thundertrap Trainer is nice. Now, this, of course, gives us a little bit of information. We have to get a non-creature, and there was only one non-creature there, which is our Flare of the Nile. So that is information for our Oculus player to kind of be aware of. Hey, there is a free counter spell left in there. And this is kind of a really powerful setup here. If you're going for the Izzet style, it is very focused and very all in of being able to set up your combo and be able to protect it with things like that. Digging for it with our Thundertrap Trainer, be able to kind of prepare ourselves here. But there's a Faithless Looting. We've got another card in hand. See if we can assemble something else. Well, we're going to pitch another Faithless Looting and a land to leave us with a frog, which looks like will be our follow-up here. Again, going to push for damage. 4 more. And we're in this race mode here, but we feel comfortable enough that if we can land a frog, we can kind of get away with the game here. But no, that's not going to happen. Flare of Denial is going to come out, and we're just going to put a stop to that, knowing that our opponent will be hellbent after that. And we really just have to deal with this kind of one creature on the board at the moment. So here's the next push. 2 damage, and we'll make a clue off it, which we can pop and draw cards. Now, you do need to draw essentially 3 cards in a turn to be able to flip the Tamiyo, so be aware of that. That's why the Jace, the one of Jace, I believe, is I think it's a singleton. I like that a lot, actually. I might have to do some testing of this list with the one of Jace. Because I've been having great success with the Tamiyo in Legacy with Brainstorm and things like that, so having access to this is in Modern is a cool way of doing things. And if the game gets a little bit grindy, which I've been seeing a lot of grindy games and a lot of grindy matchups taking place here in Modern. So at least with this first one here, we got another bestowed Phoenix coming out here. Detective's Phoenix. So we're just going to bump this up here. 6 power and toughness is really nice. And we'll drop our opponent to 3. Can we finish them off here? Do we got anything else? Unearth an Oculus. That Oculus we've been hiding in our yard. It will be able to come back. Now, which art do you like for the Oculus? Do you like the big zoomed-in eyeball or the one like impending doom floating eyeball in the sky like that? All right, Manifest the Dread. Do we have any combo, any way to stop ourselves? A counterspell, a little too late here. Not really able to do it. Let's get a clue. Gets eaten up by the Oculus because the Oculus is a 5/5 flyer. Block with the Oculus. Tap to pop a clue, draw a card. Oh, another land in hand. Nope, that's going to be it. We'll scoop it up there. Land and an Unearth there. Not too bad of a game one there for the Oculus player. So now we can kind of get into our sideboard options and try to think about how we're going to interact. Again, we know the plan for the twin player is to be able to assemble a combo. Their goal is to utilize things like counter spells and removal spells to draw the game out and drag it out to the point where they feel comfortable to kind of jam the twin and go there, where the Oculus player can get away with being the aggressor between the two. They're going to be the ones that are going to be sending out and dropping down those threats like the frogs and try to kind of stick something and make something happen. Debating about the keep here. Looks like there might be 4 lands in our Grixis player's hand. Yeah, 4 lands. Looks like a Street Wraith and a Phoenix, really just a non-hand there. Mulliganing is another skill that we don't spend as much time talking about when it comes to modern or gameplay stuff. We did a little bit of a video last week that kind of talked a lot more about sideboard and really highlighting and prioritizing, hey, these are the cards that we need to bring in to fight this matchup or protect us in this matchup against what our opponent is doing. And, you know, we are seeing that same sort of mentality here, but when to mulligan and when not to. Like, there is the obvious ones of, hey, are there too many lands in my hand and not enough spells? That's one way to do it. Is there an effective way that I can set up a threat? Is also a clear path of what your deck is trying to do, right? If you're looking at it and go, well, my goal is to be able to land down a frog or land down an Oculus. Do I have a clear path to being able to do that quickly enough? Or am I just going to fall behind? All right, so that's kind of the decision-making points for the Oculus players, where the Izzet Twin is like, okay, how much interaction can I have here? Do I have more removal spells? Do I have more counter spells? Do I have a lot of creatures to set it up? Do I have pieces of my combo? So you almost have like 3 different decision trees that you have to decide whether or not you're keeping. And we do see we're going to fight with a Thoughtseize, going for the disruption route here to try to fight against a combo deck. And what a hand here. So we've got a piece of our combo. We've got some protection with some counter spells, some stupors, and then the ever-present threat of a Blood Moon, which I like the idea of going that route because the hand is set up to build into something, but it's like, you know, going for the counter spells and the Blood Moon effects are where you want to try to target in these early stages. You know, if there wasn't the Blood Moon, you could be like, oh, go for the Splinter Twin, which yes, you can make that argument, but if you don't have any way to kind of deal with the Splinter Twin in the graveyard, like surgical extractions or something, maybe you didn't bring those in, it's less of a priority as something like a Blood Moon that you're a 3-color deck, and red is not the main color of your deck. It's definitely more of a black deck. So, Psychic Frog going to attempt to get played. Are we just going to do a Flare of a Nile here? No, we're going to let that go, it looks like. Let's see. Sink into Stupor. Yeah, let's just bounce it to your hand. Ooh, so we do see a sideboard card. There is a little bit of a counter spell here in hand for a Grixis player that they were able to go. We're going for a cycling Lorien Revealed Island Cycle for 1. Go find a basic island. Well, sorry, not a basic. Go find an island. So that means your Steam Vents, that means your Surveil Lands, all those fun adventures that exist within that island department in Modern. I like Lorien Revealed a lot. I think it's a sweet card. I don't play it as often or as much as I should. I want to say that this list is running quite a few. And again, you can run less lands, you know, if you were like, oh, I was on 20 lands, but in this case, you're running Sink to Stupors, which is the MDFCs. You're running Lorien Revealed, so you could be like, I can run a less land count and get away with this more because of the pieces that I've gotten here. But more fetching, getting ourselves set up to make sure we have the proper land base that we need. And we have a lot of tools. So this is kind of a land go match. Again, we're trying to land a frog. Sink to Stupor hit us last time, bouncing it, basically buying us a turn. So we're going to land it this time. We'll see what our twin player is going to be able to assemble to try to put a stop to it. How many cards in hand? 4 cards in hand. So basically giving us 6 toughness. Wait a minute. Are we going to do a lightning bolt here? Four mana. Or was one already tapped? Do we have one enter tap? I don't know. Flame of Nor coming in. We're going to try to deal 5. So this would cause us to have to dump our entire hand in order to keep the frog alive. And that's the assumption that our opponent doesn't have a bolt or something to follow this up, and then it's a wasted effort anyway. Then we'd be completely hell-bent. So I like that idea of just let it go. We don't want to fight over that. If it was a bolt or something, we could maybe make that attempt to try to fight over it. But Flame of Anor just right off the rip there, it's like, yeah, I need to keep my resources because it's such a land go match right now that I can't afford to just, you know, commit everything. But we do see only one red source here that might make our mana base a little bit weird, but we're going to be able to use that red source and hit with the Faithless Looting here. Let's pitch some cards, one of which was another land, though. But we at least... Okay, so it looks like we pitched 2 lands, played a Scalding Tarn. The Scalding Tarn is extremely important with our Fatal Push. We're hoping to be able to use the fetch to be able to trigger the Revolt there, so we can be able to kill off a Deceiver when they go for the combo. Flashback, Faithless Looting. Let's keep getting some more information. Another land and a Phoenix go to the graveyard this time. Just looking for a threat. Just looking for an Oculus. Digging, digging, digging. Flame of Anor going to be used from our Izzet player. Draw 2 cards. I think that's fine. Like, a lot of times you want to save the Flame of Anor to be able to use it as removal to kill off an Oculus, to kill off a Frog. But if you're digging and you're like, I'm so close, like we saw a twin early on, right? So we know that there is a twin that's in there. All right, we're going to attempt to do a Thoughtseize, hit with a counterspell. Now, I always, for whatever reason, thought that Thoughtseize was a additional cost, pay 2 life, look at your opponent's hand, then discard something. But the losing 2 life is dependent upon the spell resolving. The spell does not resolve, you don't actually lose the 2 life. So there is that element that, unless I'm misinterpreting and misunderstanding the rules for it, which players, please let me know. Are we hard casting a Lorien Revealed? He says, oh, it's 1 more mana, costs 5, not 4. All right, 5 mana. Let's draw 3 cards at sorcery speed. We're feeling that comfortable in the game that we can get away with this. And, oop, we tried to play an extra land. We got all discombobulated this turn. Yeah, so we've got 2 mana left, so that's kind of also indicating that we feel okay, that we probably have a counterspell. Yeah, we already are reaching for the island as the Oculus attempts to be resolved here. Because we are just hard casting it, so that means we got to get rid of 6 cards from our graveyard to be able to cast it. Let's get some fetching going. Go find ourselves a basic island here. Ooh, Death Shadow. I want to say the Death Shadow is a sideboard card. Unless it's part of the main board, and we didn't see any in the first game, but it didn't seem like it. It seems like maybe it is a Grixis Death Shadow list. Counterspell. Put that away. Get out of here. All right, what are we up to? 7 mana. Thundertrap Trainer. Again, we're going to look for a non-creature card within that top 4. Trigger, ETB trigger will be Fatal Pushing it, just getting it off there, just to like not give any fuel for the Flare of Denial. Now we get another Lorien Revealed here. You saw there was that Splinter Twin that was in that top 4. I like the idea of getting the Lorien here instead of the twin because we still have a twin from earlier that hasn't been stripped away. Tamiyo is going to try to get used. And then we're setting up for a Lorien following up turn to make sure that we can get the flip off it. That's really good. Thoughtseize is going to get used. Let's see. hard casting flare. So we're not flipping and getting rid of Tameo. This is also kind of giving us indication we care about our hand and we care about keeping that Tameo alive because we did not sacrifice it, which gives our Grixis Oculus player information to know, okay, you're relying on this to kind of get further ahead. I'm going to make sure that I kill this. Yes, I didn't get to take a look at your hand, but you gave me information by the way that you responded to what I was doing. All right, 3, 4, 5. What is this? The second Lorien reveal. This is the most Lorien revealed hard cast in a game of Magic ever. I feel like this is crazy, at least on our channel in particular. All right, 3 mana still up. Can we get this Psychic Frog? That's the like. Oh, of course. That's yes. Right, sure. Snapcaster. We knew it, right? You knew it. As soon as they start messing with their graveyard, you go, they're getting a Snapcaster. So what are we getting? Flare of Denial and just pop our Snapcaster mage? All right, so we're going to consign the trigger. This is an ETB trigger ability when it enters the battlefield. Now, we see the Snapcaster go to the graveyard here, but it's not actually, the Snapcaster is not actually being countered. The enter the battlefield effect is getting countered here. But there's the follow-up bolt to clean up the frog, leaving our Oculus player with 1 card left in hand. But so there technically should be a Snapcaster still alive. The Snapcaster wasn't actually countered here. So a little bit of thing to note for anybody that's watching at home. Countering the trigger doesn't counter the spell unless, you know, you did like counter color spell, but that wasn't it. But Thundertrap Trainer going to be popping down, get us some more card advantage here. And what are we going to find off it? How about a Jace? That's pretty nice. Can we just drop it down here? We got, I mean, we have a lot of mana. Not playing that is also a bit telling too, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Are we gonna do a Deceiver? Is that why? Are we planning for a combo? Because Unearthing. Unearth is good. Get an Oculus. How many cards left? 1 card left in hand. And it's a Fatal Push with the fetch land, so we might be okay here. There's the X-Art. Tap or untap? I like tapping here. Yeah. We'll tap down Surveil Land, our Dimir one. Go to our untap step. Manifest this to the top. We know it's coming. We've been digging this whole time, looking for the Deceiver. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our Splinter Twin. Splinter Twin resolves. So you have 2 windows, right? You can go for the first ETB of the copy, which is happening right now, or you can go when we're trying to target it with the enchantment. So it looks like we're going to fight over it with the ETB and fetch.
What do you want to tap or untap with your twin?
It says, what would you like to tap or untap with your... He says, I'll tap and untap my X-Art. We failed to find! Fatal Push. Because we pitch those lands... We get got. Spell Pierce comes down. We only have 1 mana left to try to stop this, and we get got by it. Oh, because we kept throwing lands away earlier with our Faceless Looting because we didn't need them, and then we ran out of actual targets with that fetch. If we got it, we might have been okay. I don't know if there's another counterspell or anything in hand, but ooh, that was nice. Those are those moments that you live for as an Izzet player or a blue mage when your opponent's like unable to pay for the spell pierce or unable to do these things, and it's like, yes, blue mage power. All right, game 3 for all the marbles. We're getting closer and closer to see, is it Twin or Grixis Oculus that's going to come out ahead in this match? Looks like, what do we got, a flare? Was there a Flare of Denial? Yeah. Not a Flare of Denial. What is that? That's Stubborn Denial. That's what it's called. Used to be a really powerful card in the old Grixis Death Shadow list. And this is kind of a updated Grixis Death Shadow list. Yeah, we see the Death Shadows are in here. I need to find out if the Grixis Death Shadow stuff, like, is it supposed to be Grixis Death Shadow and not just Grixis Oculus, or the Death Shadow sideboard cards that we sneak in, you know, afterward, if people are like, oh, I'm going to fight over the Oculus and the reanimation package and do graveyard hate, and you go, that's cute. Now deal with this, you know, 5, 5, 6, you know, continual growing Death Shadow as I start swinging this at you. All right, mulliganing down, going to see. We got some Faithless Looting, we got a Death Shadow, we got a Street Wraith. Yeah, this seems fine. Put the Surveil land on the bottom. And we have our basic here, too, which makes a big difference knowing our opponent is on Blood Moon. We saw that with a Thoughtseize in game number 2 there, post-board, so we can kind of get some information. But what do we go for here? I mean, okay, all right. Blood Crypt here, going to be thrown down. I like the idea of the Blood Crypt. Again, it does feel like a more of a Rakdos deck with blue splashed in here for Oculus, for Frog. There's a Faithless Looting going to be pulled up here. Draw 2, discard 2. Do we got a Phoenix to throw? Get a land. And another land here, I guess. Which, you know, it's not the best, but get rid of the Thoughtseize. Okay. Cycle the Street Wraith. I guess I see why that was the play, but I don't know. I like Thoughtseize, but you don't want to get punished too much and not be able to keep a land. I think the decision making there was we had the basic swamp. If we pitch our fetch land and don't draw another fetch land for a little while and kept the Thoughtseize, yeah, we might disrupt for a little bit, but we are limiting our lines of play knowing that we won't get access to Psychic Frog or things like that we might need the blue source for. So I think that's playing it safer that way by not getting the Thoughtseize and by pitching the Thoughtseize and not the land. All right, another clue going to get made here. We'll get our Surveil land now. Tamio putting in work. Do some cutting of the decks, all the normal stuff. Surveil, pitch it to the graveyard. Don't need it, don't want it. Cycle another Street Wraith, drop into 12. But, like, if you're watching this and, like, sitting across the table and people are just pitching their life and stuff like that, like this, I like the idea of Death Shadow. I like, in these sort of lists that are running Street Wraiths and stuff like that, like, it's almost like a Hollow One got... If you took the Hollow One deck and the, Death Shadow and the Dimir Oculus list, and you just took all three of those and started squishing them together, all right? And then we got this amalgamation deck afterward, because here's the Death Shadow, all right? A nice little 4/4 creature. Are we going to be able to resolve this? Looks like we get a fetch, so you're kind of under that assumption, no, that's not going to be able to stay around much longer. But do we have a way to kind of follow up with this? I like the Phoenix, because throwing a Phoenix on a Death Shadow, like, that's awesome. Basic island of choice. Deck is good, not cutting. There's the counterspell. Speaking of crazy counterspells, I've been seeing people post up lists about the Doctor Strange counterspell that was running around, that, you know, very limited amounts, and it's like crazy good art for it. But I don't want to spend the money on that card. I want it, but I don't want to spend the money on that card. There's so many cards that it's like, oh, I need to get. Like, my buddy just texted me the other day that was like, look at this sweet, like, Dan Frazier Mox Opal that I traded in for. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so jealous of that. I haven't pulled the trigger on the Mox Opals. I haven't pulled the trigger on the Green Sun Zenith. They're coming. I got it, especially because people have been voting about what we want to do, and we hit our 1,000, and a lot of people are talking about an Infect shenanigans, so I need to get some Green Sun Zenith for the Infect list that I'm brewing up here. But we'll see some lands tapped and pass here. What are we gonna do? Nothing, not popping a clue. Let's dig. Must be looking for more combo pieces here. All right, make another clue. Swinging in. the Grixis player is like, they've hit me so many times with this Tameo, I'm at 9. Don't forget, Tameo's an 03 or something. 02, 03. Thundertrap Trainer goes into the graveyard with the Surveil. We're not looking for that. We must be digging for another piece of the combo. And my guess with the Thundertrap Trainer going, we probably already have the Splinter Twin looking for Deceiver here. All right, what do we got to work with here? Lots of lands in hand. There's the Swamp. Oh, do we got an Oculus? Oh, Toxic Deluge. We're going to lose some more life here. I like that. Toxic Deluge with a Death Shadow list is sweet. Hey, let's unearth that Death Shadow. We're just going. Jamming in there. Bestowing the Phoenix. Giving it +2, +2, flying and haste. So big boy right now. Would like to move to combat, but not going to be able to. Did we just get got? Is it like just tap it down, untap, we lose?
What else might you have in that hand?
What else might you have in this hand? Not a Splinter Twin, it looks like, because we didn't just kind of jam it and say, hey, here's it. You've got one card, no mana available.
Oh, no.
No, we don't. We don't have it. Let's just keep poking.
Oh, that's ominous.
Do we got a bolt? Bolt, snap, bolt? Do we finish him? 2 mana. Thundertrap Trainer. Okay, that makes more sense too while we threw the Thundertrap Trainer in there. So yeah, we're digging for a Splinter Twin. No Splinter Twin in sight though. Get a Blood Moon, I guess, out of that. Yeah, we'll get a Blood Moon. We could just jam it here and give our opponent very limited access to mana, but it looks like we're debating it. I guess it's like, how much damage can we take? Right now, it's a pretty big boy. Let's see. What is it? 8 power +2, 10. It's a 10/10 flying haste Death Shadow. Evasion real nice, looking real good. I mean, we just gotta like get some hits in, right? We're sitting at 5. I don't know. What's our last card? Who's paying attention?
So ominous.
We are going to fetch for the island.
What you gonna do with that?
All right, paying the 3. Yes, Blood Moon. Those are some sweet mountains and that singleton swamp you have. At least we got the swamp, right? That does make things a little bit easier for us. He says, the real question is, do you have a lightning bolt? Am I just dead to a bolt? Like, are we, does it not matter about the twin at this point? Here we go, 10. Flying. Let's go down to 6. Here's a mountain. Pass. He says this is technically untap because it's an enchantment. Here's 3 damage. Bolt. Hey, Hadouken. Oh, there's a frog in there. Yeah. In response, Hadouken, he says, "No, I'm already dead. Why are you killing me again?" No. So yeah, Izzet Twin getting there with the bolt, snap bolt style at the end. Just kind of let's shoot some lightning bolts. Every little bit of damage does matter here, and with bolt back in the meta, maybe Death Shadow might not be the best way to go about it, but still really cool. I love seeing Death Shadow lists and this kind of amalgam Grixis Oculus Hollow One-esque, Death Shadow-esque style. It's pretty cool. And this is what's cool about seeing our LGS and probably other people's LGS is that so many people are experimenting and trying new things in the meta. It's such an exciting time to be playing Modern. I'm really happy with how the meta is shaping up right now. But that's going to do it for this episode here. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in and watching and following along, supporting all of the content we do here. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next game.